What up, what up, what up, what up? Mr. Stewart here. Just walking around my village on my way to go and get some eggs from the local farm shop. The life of a teacher, eh? Yeah, can't come in to ruin my video. Hope you guys can hear me. Today's video is going to be all about the Treaty of Versailles. What were the terms of the Treaty of Versailles? And I just thought it'd be a nice setting rather than being stuck indoors. Enjoy the weather and do a quick video. Alright, so first thing I want to talk to you about is the main part that angered the German people regarding the Treaty of Versailles. And the first thing is that they had to accept war guilt. So the first term that you need to talk about, if the exam question comes up about the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, is war guilt. Okay? So Article 231 basically stated that Germany needed to accept all guilt for the war. They had to accept full responsibility for starting the war. This was the main term of the Treaty of Versailles that the German people hated the most. So that's the first thing that you need to talk about. The second thing that you need to talk about will be the terms that affected the armed forces. Okay, so that's the second thing you need to be talking about. So, what things can you be mentioning? You can mention that Germany's army was restricted to 100,000 soldiers. So they were not allowed to have more than 100,000 soldiers, and they weren't allowed to have conscription. So that means forcing people to join the army. Okay, fantastic. The second thing that they needed regarding the Treaty of Versailles to be restricted on was the navy. Germany were only allowed 6 battleships and no submarines, no U-boats. So they were restricted to 6 battleships and no submarines or no U-boats. So please make sure you keep that in mind. If you want to go a step further, those of you that are really trying to push yourselves, please remember to write down that Germany were also limited to 15,000 soldiers that could work within the navy. They weren't allowed any more than that. And of that 15,000, 1,500 would be able to be officers. So there was a big restriction on the navy. They also allowed no air force, and they weren't allowed to develop tank technology, which was beginning to be developed at that time. So that's really, really important. Okay, so the next thing you want to be talking about is how their land that they had was taken off of them during the Treaty of Versailles. Firstly, the Rhineland was to be demilitarized. So that meant that they weren't allowed to have any soldiers in the Rhineland. Now the Rhineland is an area to the west of Germany. So it's the western side of Germany that shares a border with France. Now that border basically needed to be demilitarized. No armed forces in this area. The reason why this is so that France felt protected and they had a buffer zone. So keep that in mind. The Rhineland was demilitarized in the Treaty of Versailles. That is the area on the western side of Germany that shares a border with France. So keep that in mind. Now, the other thing that was taken off of Germany regarding land were the parts of its empire that it had created. So it had taken an abdicated land in Africa. Now these regions were taken off of Germany as a mandate. So that basically means sort of an extra thing to ensure that Germany would not try to go against the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. Okay? This really shored things up for the League of Nations as well, made them feel comfortable, made them feel powerful. And also, another thing, Germany had to pay a lot of money. So the next term that you want to be talking about will be linking to the economy, linking to money. It's really, really significant because it crippled the German economy significantly for approximately 2 to 3 years. Drastically damaged the economy. Now, the amount that they had to pay, sometimes the students get confused with this, is 152 billion gold marks or 6.6 million pound. So don't get confused. It's 152 billion gold marks and 6.6 million pound. Okay, that's the amount they had to pay back in something called reparations. Reparations means money paid due to damage caused. So keep that in mind. So they're your key terms that you want to be thinking about when it comes to the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. The last one that I'm going to mention will be uniting of German-speaking countries. Germany was not allowed to unite German-speaking countries. In particular, they weren't allowed to unite with Austria. Uniting with Austria was known as Anschluss. They were not allowed Anschluss, which means they're not allowed to unite with Austria or other German-speaking countries. Also, regions such as the Sudetenland and were taken off of Germany. That is another key important area because that comes later into Hitler's Lebensraum policy. And lastly, I want to mention the Danzig. Danzig was an area that was taken from Germany and was put under control by the League of Nations. The Saar was an industrial region, another part of Germany taken off of them. This was where they had a lot of coal fields. That was taken off of Germany and given to France as payment for damage caused. So, the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. In short, 1. Pay reparations, 6.6 million or 152 billion gold marks. 2. Restrictions on armed forces, only allowed 100,000 soldiers, no tanks, no U-boats, no air force and 6 battleships. You have to accept that Germany caused the war and they had to accept all responsibility for World War I. And finally, land taken off of Germany and the Rhineland was demilitarized. The land would be the Saar, the Rhineland demilitarized, Sudetenland taken off of Germany. So that means your 4 key points for the terms of the Treaty of Versailles are armed forces, economy, land and war guilt. That's the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. That's the Treaty of Versailles. I might do a live stream on my way back home about what the reaction was to the Treaty of Versailles. I'm Mr. Stewart. Nice quick video. I'll speak to you soon. Stay safe. I'll catch you later. Peace.